Welcome to week number 14 of Turn Up Bear Down. It's been a while. We've had life get in the way, but we are back and ready to roll. Thank you to our true patrons for supporting us on Instagram and also looking at our previous YouTube videos. We're excited to talk about this week of the Bears, the 4-8 Chicago Bears. We got 4 wins. That's one more than last year. I'm here with the legend himself, Matt Jansen. What do you got for the people?
Hey guys, glad we're back. First and foremost, recently we had a little bit of tragedy, and before we get going into the show, just want to say rest in peace, Curtis Cruz, and love you and miss you, and we'll definitely be thinking of you very much. And I know he used to listen to the show quite a bit, and thinking and praying for him and his family.
All right, very nice. Yeah, we'll be praying for the Cruz family as we continue to reflect on what's been happening this weekend. And so, with that, we're gonna turn it over to our weekly reactions. So the Bears are coming off a win and a bye, so we haven't lost a game for like 2 weeks now. It's kind of crazy. Before Thanksgiving, and then the Packers actually beat the Chiefs because we've been going over the Chiefs games too. Couple questionable calls maybe there at the end. Actually, our co-host here was at the game. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so just first off, anybody gets a chance to go to Lambeau, I know I've said it, go. I was I don't want Bear Nation to come at me too hard here, but all I can say is that I'm anti Green Bay. I'm anti Packers, and I was certainly rooting for the team playing against the Packers. I had a front row seat to the PI call that was not called there in the fourth quarter on that last drive, and really cool atmosphere. A lot of nice fans at Green Bay, very family friendly. Um, but yeah, Chiefs kind of got hosed on some calls. Green Bay played good, but it was certainly a typical NFL week when the teams that should win do not win.
Yeah, it was a really weird week last week, but oh man, I feel like the NFL is just so fun because each week something's happening that you don't expect. And with that being said, I'm hoping that this week is another one of those. The Bears
Yep,
taking on the Lions. So
yep. Hey,
this,
real quickly, got to shout out Packer fan 31 for the hospitality. The hospitality. His wife makes one heck of a chicken cutlet. I will say that. And they made it a lot of fun and very enjoyable. My wife, I got her first taste of Lambo, so that was a lot of fun. Appreciate that. Packer fan 31, hail bombs. Love you, man. That was a good time.
yeah, we'll have to have him on for the last game of the year. Um, as we get to week 18, crazy. There's only what 5 more games this year, for the Bears. So we'll see where we land in our ever going fight to win the first pick of the draft and also another maybe top 10 pick. So yeah, this week the path to victory, the Bears take on the Lions, and this game was crazy. We were up 12 points with 4:15 to go a couple weeks ago and did not close the deal. Choked in true Bears fashion, an epic meltdown as I kept reading. I kind of lost it emotionally on that day. That was not a good day for me. But we're
We
back.
all did.
We're back. So this one is I'm really just using what worked for both teams last time they played. If the Lions can pressure Fields, especially as they did in the end there, and Hutchinson comes off the ball, if they can do that, Fields won't be able to do very much, and it really does hinder our offense. The Lions got to protect the ball better. They had how many? Golf had 3 interceptions in that game. That was wild. That they were really letting
Yeah,
us do what we needed.
yeah.
And then really, this is going to be the battle. Can the Lions run the ball with Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, or can the number one defense against the run, the Chicago Bears defense, slow down the run? Because that running game for them really just opens up everything. I think Goff is a good quarterback from what I've seen and continue to see, but you still got to be able to run the ball with that two-headed monster that they have. For the Bears this time around, touchdowns, not field goals. Field goals only lost us the game. For the most part, same as last time. Like play good defense, try to work the offense and find DJ Moore open deep, and can we create turnovers once again? So I'm looking at those two things or those two as really the path to victory for these two teams. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think the big one is turnovers. It's going to be turnovers on Justin, turnovers on Jared Goff. I think what you saw on Thanksgiving, at least, uh, Jared Goff still has a problem with taking care of the ball. He fumbled maybe 3 or 4 times. I think maybe even more than that. So that's another one. If he's not throwing picks, can we get him to fumble the ball? And then same thing with Justin Fields. I mean, I think whoever takes care of the ball better in this game, because I do anticipate it being a close one possession game when it's all said and done. So it'll come down to that timely turnover or that missed opportunity. And then again, I like that's been our offense really since we've been kids. Is when you get into the red zone area, got to get touchdowns instead of field goals. Which actually, if you look by the numbers, we are one of the better red zone offenses in the NFL, which is staggering. So it's got to come. It's got to clear its ugly head or rear its ugly head. Excuse me. This weekend, and um, we're it is now our job to ruin other seasons. So that's typically when we thrive. So excited for it.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. I didn't see Cairo Santos was like NFC Player of the Month. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and so
he's busy.
hats off to Cairo. He had a great November. Unfortunately, field goals instead of touchdowns almost lose you games. He had 4 field goals in both of those games, right? Because he had 4 in the Viking game winner, and he had 4 in the Lion game. He even missed one in the Viking game, but it's tough to be perfect, especially with Robbie Gould retiring after 18 years or something.
True.
Big shout out to Robbie Gould. I have his autograph on like 3 or 4 footballs from going to training camp. He's one of the first guys to autograph him. At first, we were laughing like, he's just a kicker, and then it quickly became like, oh, he's like a legit kicker.
Yeah,
So made a lot of
got
big field
got
goals
to got
for
to put him up there. Got to put him up there, like top 5 kicker of all
yeah,
time. Pulls off the bald cap pretty well too, and he's a scratch golfer. So
yeah,
um, he's gonna be a busy man in his retirement.
yep. All right, impact players. I'm gonna give David Montgomery a shout out here. Great running back. I know Gibbs is kind of the wave of the future, but I still like Montgomery. The identity, 32, but he's number 5 now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the guy he's so good. He's really like watching him play on that Thanksgiving Day game in particular. He just finds ways to get open and do his thing. And then Aiden Hutchinson, just a great young player in the NFL. Got to be one of the top players under 25. For the Bears, it's the field show. He should be an impact player or a key player every week the rest of the year. DJ Moore had a big game against the Lions a couple weeks ago. Played well against the Vikings. He didn't get a touchdown, but he had a great game. And then Montez Sweat, I feel like, was really big in the game against the Lions a couple weeks ago. And then a huge in the game last week against the Vikings. He's just making his presence felt left and right. All right, who do you like of these guys? Who did I leave out the year? I know there's other guys too to talk about. So, what do you think?
Yeah, on the Lions side, it looks like Jameer Gibbs has really now become their bell cow. They still have David Montgomery. I mean, they have one of the best double.
Mm-hmm.
They have one of the better backfield stables, I think, in the NFL. And I think now Jameer Gibbs is getting more touches. He's more active in the offense, and he's a weapon, man. He's got speed. He's got power. He can catch. So he's got to be up there. And then the other one that's not on there is Laporta. Laporta has become, I think one of their bigger passing game options. He's become a top 5 tight end. Iowa just keeps pumping out good tight ends. I guess that's tight end U apparently. On the Bears, one thing that I don't see here is got to be Cole Kmet. He's never really going to get you a lot of yards, but man, the guy had 5 catches in the first quarter last week. Granted, it wasn't for a lot of yards, but he's certainly got to be someone who we also have to, in the passing game, it comes down to Moore and it comes down to Komet, and how many times can they extend drives with first down catches or get in the end zone or extend plays. So they're pretty pivotal, I think, as well. And the other impact players on the defense, as far as for the Bears, I would just say really anybody in that secondary besides Jalen Johnson. They're going to have to step up. Everybody knows Jalen Johnson is our best corner. He's our best defensive player, and they're going to test Kyler Gordon and Stevenson and some of these other guys that are unproven. So they're going to have to step up and win some one-on-ones.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to talk about a little bit about that game from Monday, the Monday night game. I guess it was 2 weeks ago, almost. Um, what do you think of the game plan as far as the offensive play calling?
Didn't like it in small doses. I think like the quick screen game works a little bit, but they just went to the well too much with it. And honestly, I think they showed it too early. I think it works better when you stretch the defense vertically. Then it will open up along with them blitzing that quick screen game. But we just went to it so much, and we kept going to it. I think at some point the defense was like, "Well, I'm not worried about getting burned over the top. I'm just keep everybody in front of me and make the tackle." So
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
Like
I mean,
I know a lot of
just
people were like calling for Getsy to be basically like fired, and I mean we won the game, but we should have won it so much easier with. But the game plan was just so conservative, and I don't understand. Like I don't understand how. I know the Vikings were pressuring us like an unreal amount, but it just seemed like somebody had to be open or something had to be better than turning and throwing a screen to the left, screen to the right, screen to the left. I think somebody even said, "Did you see there was three straight screen calls called and like no creativity, no nothing. Like how
no,
can you do that?"
it's not high school. It's not college. I mean, you got to disguise it. You have to. It has to be a different look. There has to be the fear of getting burned deep in order to be able to open up in front of you. So, yeah, it's just not well thought out. And so I'm sure they've gotten some heat. I'm sure they're going to adjust, and hopefully we don't see kind of the same thing. Maybe a little bit less of that, and um, some other options, some other play calls, and those opportunities.
Yep. All right. So, time for one of our fun segments, specific predictions. Justin Fields, is he going to go over or under 200 yards passing in this game? He was under that number 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under again, just a little bit this time.
Okay. Lions, are they going to rush for over or under 100 yards? Bears, number one rushing defense in the NFL. Their passing defense isn't the best, but a couple good games. So do you think the Lions will be able to reach that mark or not?
No, I think we keep them under 100. I don't know about the passing offense, but I think on the ground we keep them right underneath that this week.
Yeah. Okay, last game. Bears lost 31-26. And that was after like a safety at the end. So really 29-26. So 55 points scored. The over under for this game is 43. Taking the under, taking the over.
Yeah, the Bears are an over machine. So and so are the Lions. The Lions have shown that their defense isn't stout either. I mean, really, they've been in shootouts all year. So I'm going to go over confidently.
Yeah, they were up. What was it, 24-7 last week?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the Saints come roaring back on them. So, all right, David
Sounds like
Mug.
the old Lions. Didn't it feel like the old Lions?
Yeah, David Montgomery usually good for at least a touchdown. Is he going to get over or under 1.5 touchdowns this game?
Yeah, I'm going to say under. I think Gibbs takes another one, so I think he just gets one.
And so the Bears last time they had, was it just the three takeaways? For some reason, I thought they had four. Maybe was there a fumble also?
I
I
don't
guess it was just
remember.
three. I guess it was just
Yeah, I
three.
think it was three.
So this week they're gonna, this game they're gonna have over and under 1.5 takeaways.
I'm going to say over. I'm going to say over. I think our defense is playing better than it has all year. I think they're starting to come together and gel and get things figured out. And yeah, I think they're going to make things a little bit more difficult on Jerry Goff this week.
Yeah, and I think like we said, Montez Sweat is a big factor in creating those turnovers. That's why all of a sudden these coverage turnovers that didn't exist are now popping up all over the place. I mean, Josh Dobbs isn't necessarily the best quarterback in the NFL, but especially with some pressure. All right, let's get into the stumper. Do you have a stumper for me this week?
Yeah. Um, kind of a tiered one like we normally do. The first one would be who's the most notable number 20 for the Detroit Lions?
Barry Sanders.
The Barry Sanders, yeah, probably my favorite running back, one of my favorite NFL players of all time. I got a nice little jersey that he got that he signed one time. My dad had a friend that worked in the Packers posing locker room, and I came home one day from school, and my dad my dad's friend hooked it up with a signed Barry Sanders jersey that I came home to. So he holds a pretty close place to my heart. He was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to play video games with because he was a human joystick. But it leads me to my next question: is in 19 games against the Bears, Scott, what do you think his yards per game was versus the Bears?
157.
Probably felt like that. Yeah, it was 97.2.
Oh man,
So about 100 yards. So you're
that's
close. I'll give you
crazy.
something there. And in those 19 games, what do you think our record versus the Lions were?
What year was his rookie year? Like 89 or 90? Or is that something I
89.
can ask?
89.
Dang, that's pretty good for me. Except
Might
for
have
the
been. No, I think it was 90. Yeah, I think it was 90.
Bears were really good in the 80s. I think in the 90s is when things started to go downhill. 19 games, you said?
Yep.
Lions went 5 and 14.
Ooh, the Lions actually. Uh,
Oh man,
the Lions are up. They were 11-8 versus the Bears during that time. Which, if you think about it, 100 yards a game, at least on average, you'd be like, oh man, they would have
yeah.
steamrolled the Bears. But Lions always had subpar quarterbacks and probably questionable defenses. So yeah, they were 11-8 versus us at that point, somewhat dominated.
I guess the 90s might have been a little bit of the Lions like era
It was, it
because
was, and
cuz we weren't very good and I was like, you know, I wasn't able to remember we're really cuz I was born in 93, so I don't have hardly any memory to like the 99 season, so that was like,
yep,
but and then Favre kind of took over. I guess the
right,
Vikings had a couple good years,
yep.
but
It was pretty much Green Bay, and then you had sprinkles of the Lions, sprinkles of the Vikings, and no Bears.
the Lions were probably kind of like a mid 2000s Vikings team with Adrian Peterson. That's probably what the Lions were kind of like
Mm-hmm.
during that time.
Yep,
So, all right, is that it on the questions?
yep, yep.
Good old Barry Sanders. Okay, hey, I'm feeling risky here. I'm gonna take the Bears 23-20. I feel like we're gonna close the deal this time. There's a lot of unfinished business left to do. And I think that motivates the team. I think that motivates the coach. This is an outdoor game. The Lions have played at least the last 3 games indoors. They played the Saints, the Packers, and us all indoors. So the first game outside in Chicago in a while. I feel like, and this is a game we should have won last year. I believe we were up 30-17, and we started making some mistakes in that game and ended up losing that one, 31-30. So
Yeah, I got 31-28 Lions. Like I said, I don't know if we'll be up like we were, but I do think the Lions are on course to make the playoffs and make a name for themselves. And I think even though we'll probably scare them, I don't think it's our day tomorrow. I think the Detroit Lions are going to get through some adversity like they have all year. Coming
hmm
from behind or having to hold teams off, and I think they just do enough
yeah.
to beat us by 3 tomorrow.
Hey, if the Lions do win the division, then they need to give the Bears like a big present because we gave away the game to them 2 weeks ago, and then we went out and we beat the Vikings for them to help them out. And if we lose this game, that would be like just huge. Give
That
them
would be,
2 games and defeat the second place team. That's a pretty big boost.
yeah,
So
yeah. They just got to give us David Montgomery back. We'll give them Herbert and Matt Eberflus. Call it good.
I don't think that's gonna happen. So, but yeah, at this point they're just renting whichever great running back is out there in the division. They'll probably have Aaron Jones and Gibbs next year. I
He'll
doubt
be all
that,
right.
but
Yeah, Jameer Gibbs is pretty solid, man. I think that it definitely was a good draft pick for them.
yeah.
So
All right. You have anything else?
I don't. I
No.
don't. I would say I think Kokomet scores tomorrow though, anytime touchdown. And I would say Amara or Laporta are definitely your guys that are going to score, and even probably Montgomery. So load up on your parlays, boys.
Yeah. If I think if the Packers and the Lions or Packers and Vikings lose tomorrow, or wait, do they play each other?
No, Packers play the Giants Monday night.
Oh
Lions are
man,
oh no, Lions play the Las Vegas.
I was gonna say if Lions win tomorrow and the Packers were to lose, and the Vikings were to lose, they'd be 10-3, and the other two would be 6-7. Could they clinch this weekend? Maybe. It depends on
Uh,
conference schedule.
True.
But the Packers aren't
I don't think they fully clinch.
Packers aren't losing to the Giants, so that's not going to happen anyway. But the Vikings have a tough road ahead. Well, I
Yeah.
think I think the Vikings and the Seahawks are both not going to make the playoffs, which is crazy because
Right.
both were in a perfect spot to make the playoffs, and then for the Seahawks have to play the Eagles, I think. And then they have
They
to
got a
play.
tough road
Then they
ahead
have
of
to
them.
play the Niners again, and that's not
Yep.
going to happen. The Vikings have a tough schedule too. They have to play some of their harder games, and they still have Josh Dobbs. They have to play the Lions twice, though. That's interesting. So the Packers are sitting pretty. I was texting and talking to most Packers fans last week, and I was like, look, even if you lose to the Chiefs, you have a pretty good chance of winning out because they play
Right.
like the Vikings without Cousins, who we showed are very beatable. They play us. They play the Giants and somebody else that's not very good. But anyway, this isn't a Packers show.
Nope.
Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you tune into the game tomorrow. Go Bears. Don't forget to turn up and bear down. We'll see you next week.